My real family is with her now, not you. That's what my husband said, calmly, coldly, while stuffing shirts into a suitcase, as if 7 years of marriage meant nothing. I stood there frozen, one hand unconsciously resting over my stomach, over the baby he didn't know existed, the miracle he had prayed for, then stopped praying for, long before I did. Hi everyone, my name is Aubrey Collins, and the night my husband walked out on me was the night I learned two things. Love can rot quietly. Silence can be more powerful than screaming. For years, Ethan and I fought a losing battle with infertility. Every failed cycle felt like a funeral. Every doctor's visit like a reminder that my body wasn't enough. His mother, Margaret, made sure to remind me. A barren wife ruins a bloodline, she would say, pretending it was an old country proverb. But then 1 month a line appeared. Then another. Faint but real. My miracle. I was going to tell Ethan over dinner. Instead, he told me he was leaving for a girl named Lauren. Young, fertile, effortless. He slammed the door. Margaret smiled. And me? I whispered to myself. Let them go. They'll regret it soon. A cliffhanger was born. When Ethan left, the house felt bigger and cruelly quiet. His laughter, his footsteps, even his careless humming while shaving, gone in a single evening, replaced by a silence thick enough to choke me. But beneath that silence, something else lived. Resolve. I didn't tell a soul I was pregnant. Not my friends. Not my coworkers. Especially not Margaret, who had always eyed me like a defective appliance her son had foolishly bought. Lauren, the other woman, posted hints of their new beginning online. A wine glass, 2 plates, his watch on her nightstand. They were building a fantasy, and Ethan dove into it like a man starved for attention. Meanwhile, I built something else, distance. I blocked him. Stopped answering Margaret's daily passive-aggressive messages. Ethan deserves happiness. Let him go with grace. I didn't even argue. I let them believe I was gone, broken, irrelevant. But hiding a pregnancy is harder than people think. Morning sickness became morning warfare. I threw up in office bathrooms, whispered lies about food poisoning, wore oversized sweaters even in July. Every day the secret inside me grew. Every day so did my plan. Because eventually Ethan and Margaret would come looking. And when they did, they would find someone they didn't recognize. The first sign that something was wrong came 3 months later. Ethan showed up at my workplace. I was returning from the restroom, still fighting a wave of nausea, when I saw him standing near the reception desk, shifting awkwardly, like a guilty teenager waiting outside a principal's office. Aubrey, we need to talk, he said. My heart punched against my ribs, but my face stayed perfectly still. There's nothing left to discuss. He looked thinner, tired. His confidence, the same confidence he walked out with, seemed to have evaporated. His eyes darted around, avoiding mine. It's about Lauren, he murmured. I didn't respond. Let him twist. He continued, voice cracking. She thought she might be pregnant. But it was a false alarm. A long pause. She's not sure she wants this anymore. There it was, the crumble. The first fracture in his perfect new life. Margaret called me the next day, hiding panic behind forced sweetness. Honey, Ethan is going through a difficult time. Be the bigger person. Talk to him. I almost laughed. They discarded me like trash. Now they wanted comfort. Ethan tried again, texts, calls, unexpected visits. He sensed something was off. He just didn't know how off. Not yet. The betrayal moment came on a rainy Thursday afternoon. I was 5 months pregnant by then, belly small but visible if someone looked closely. I hid it under a long coat as I walked into the grocery store, tired, nauseous, but determined to stay unnoticed. I turned down the cereal aisle and froze. Margaret stood there with a shopping cart, and beside her, Lauren, laughing, linking arms, talking like best friends, like I had never existed. Lauren spotted me first. Her smile faded, and her hand slipped from Margaret's arm. Margaret turned, eyes landing on my face with the same disdain she always carried. Aubrey, she said, voice dripping false sympathy. We heard you weren't doing well emotionally. I told Ethan some women don't handle abandonment gracefully. Lauren gave a small, embarrassed smirk, as if I were the villain in their story. I stayed calm. Looks like you two are close. Margaret straightened. Lauren is the future of this family. She can give Ethan what you couldn't. My coat shifted slightly. Her eyes flicked downward, just for a second, but long enough for fear to spark behind them. An instinctive, primal recognition. Lauren noticed it too. Their faces changed. And I walked past them without a word. Because the truth was coming.
Soon.
That grocery store moment replayed in my mind for days. Not because it hurt, but because it clarified everything. Margaret's flicker of fear. Lauren's sudden silence. The way both of them watched me walk away, as if I were carrying a secret they couldn't quite name. They were right. At home, I stood before the mirror, hand resting on my belly. We're doing this, I whispered to my unborn child. But on my terms. I didn't want chaos. I didn't want violence. I wanted truth, delivered in a way they would never forget. So I began to prepare. First, I gathered every medical record, every doctor's note confirming my pregnancy timeline, proof that Ethan left me after the miracle finally happened. Proof that he abandoned not just a wife, but his own child. Second, I saved screenshots of his messages begging to talk again. His calls. His desperation. Third, I contacted an attorney who specialized in custody and abandonment cases. Her reaction when she saw the documents was simple. They have no idea what's coming, she said. Neither did Ethan. Neither did Margaret. But they would, because I scheduled a meeting, one that none of them were expecting. I invited them both to the meeting under the safest, most irresistible lie possible. It's about Ethan. It's important. Margaret arrived first, wearing pearls she didn't earn and confidence she didn't deserve. Lauren showed up moments later, looking nervous, clutching her phone like a security blanket. Ethan walked in last, eyes hollow, shoulders slumped, a man whose fantasy life had started to rot. This better not be drama, Margaret huffed. I smiled. Oh, don't worry. It's not drama. It's documentation. I placed the folder gently on the table. The sound echoed. Inside were my prenatal records, the exact conception date, Ethan's abandonment timeline, all his recent texts begging to talk, a drafted custody case, and the financial obligations he would legally owe. Ethan's face drained to chalk. Lauren's breath hitched. Margaret pressed her lips together until they whitened. Aubrey, Ethan whispered, you're pregnant. I met his eyes, steady. For 5 months. Lauren stumbled back into her chair, realization cracking her composure. You said she couldn't, you said. Margaret lunged for the papers, scanning them in shaking disbelief.
No.
This can't be. It is, I said softly. And this is just step 1. Ethan swallowed hard. Step 1 of what? I let the silence stretch. Then I smiled. Of your consequences. The fallout began instantly. Ethan tried to regain control the way weak men always do, by pretending he still had some. Aubrey, we can work this out. I made a mistake. His voice shook, his eyes darting between the documents and my stomach. Lauren stood up, tears in her eyes. You said she couldn't get pregnant. You told me she was the problem. Her betrayal wasn't anger at me. It was the realization she had been sold a lie. Margaret looked the worst of them all. Her pride, that rigid tower she lived inside, collapsed right in front of me. A baby in our bloodline, she muttered, as if digesting poison. Why didn't you tell us sooner? I turned to her, calm. Because none of you deserve to know. Ethan reached out, desperate. Aubrey, please. Let's fix this together. I'll come home. Home. The word hit me like ash. You didn't leave a home, I said quietly. You left a woman who still loved you. That version of me is gone. Margaret whispered. What are you planning to do? I picked up the custody file and tapped it once. Exactly what the law allows. Their faces crumpled. And I wasn't done. Margaret showed up at my door a week later. But it wasn't the proud, sharp-tongued woman I once knew. She looked small. Shoulders curved inward, eyes swollen as if she hadn't slept in days. Aubrey, she whispered, voice breaking, please let me see the ultrasound. I stepped outside, closing the door behind me.
Why?
So you can decide whether this child is worthy of your bloodline? Her lips trembled. I was wrong. I thought Ethan left because you couldn't give him what he wanted. I didn't know he abandoned his own baby. I didn't know he abandoned you. For a moment, I saw something almost human inside her grief. But forgiveness isn't owed. It's earned. My child, I said softly, will never feel unwanted. Not by you, not by Ethan, not by anyone. I am building a life where they'll know they were loved from the first heartbeat. She nodded slowly, understanding she had already lost more than she could ever regain. As I walked back inside, Ethan texted, I'll sign whatever you want. I just want to meet the baby one day. I stared at the message, then turned off my phone. Some stories don't end with reconciliation. Some end with freedom. And mine finally did.